Ashley, hey, check it out. See, it's some killer bees. Okay, they're coming from Mexico, and they can strike at any time, and they love teenage flesh. So
Thanks, but I'll risk it.
Just don't worry, man. I ain't gonna let no bees get to this, honey.
Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Support them, support them. Tell them who do you love?
Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know down below. Who do you love? From dominating the spotlight in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker to earning his stripes in his first leading role in Wes Craven's classic, Brandon Quintin Adams was the name on everyone's lips. But how does one go from being Hollywood's brightest child star to fizzling out into nothing but a memory? Here's the story of Brandon Quintin Adams. It seemed like ever since his birth on August 22, 1979, Brandon Quintin Adams was born to be on the big screen. Ever since he was a toddler, he was putting on a show from his hometown in Topeka, Kansas. As a child, Brandon built up his resume through gigs in print ads and commercials, showcasing stellar star quality even at his young age. But it wasn't until he landed a gig as Peter on the NBC sitcom Empty Nest did he get his actual start in the acting industry. But that would pale in comparison to his next major project, which really put him on the map. In 1988, Brandon would catch the eye of none other than musical legend Michael Jackson, who cast Brandon to play the role of Zeke in his anthology musical film Moonwalker, which was a compilation of the singer's music videos, concerts, and iconic moments within his career. The film premiered on October 29, 1988 on MTV and was named after Michael Jackson's signature move, the moonwalk. Although the film was primarily a mashup of several different music videos, there was a narrative flow to the production meant to showcase the different stages of Michael's career and act as a representation of how Michael viewed his own works. The third segment of the film, titled Badder, was a parody of Michael's music video Bad. This segment featured various child actors taking on the roles of various adults in the original video, and the role of Michael was played by none other than Brandon Quintin Adams himself. The moment he stepped into view as young Michael, Brandon took over the screen. Dressed in head-to-toe black leather and sporting Michael's go-to gelled hairstyle, Brandon was a flawless young Michael. He hit every dance move with passion and energy and managed to flawlessly replicate Michael's mannerisms, really encompassing the spirit of the singer and portraying his younger self perfectly. From that performance alone, Brandon was already creating a buzz in Hollywood. But that wouldn't be his only appearance in the film. Brandon also played a main role in the sixth segment of the film, which was Smooth Criminal. His character Zeke was introduced alongside two other children by the names of Sean and Katie. The three kids were homeless, and in the film, were sneaking into the big city for a chance to run into long-term friend Michael Jackson. Throughout this segment, viewers are able to quickly determine what sort of relationship that Michael has to the kids through glimpses into their memories, which consist of him playing with them in a meadow with their dog Skipper. Once again, viewers were mesmerized by his charming qualities and appreciated his impressive duality and acting skills at his young age. By the time the film was over, there was one main star of the show, aside from Michael, of course, and that was Brandon Quintin Adams. Although the film received mixed reviews from critics and the public alike, that didn't take away from Brandon's outstanding performance. With so much praise in so little time, it seemed like he was well on track to becoming one of the biggest child stars in the industry. Casting directors had a clear indicator of his acting abilities from his roles in Moonwalker, and all saw the potential that he had for becoming a big name in Hollywood. So Brandon began landing roles left and right. Just a few months following the Moonwalker release, Brandon would find himself at Disney's doorstep, taking on the role of Jimmy Bean in the magical world of Disney. He also returned to his roots at NBC to play the older brother in the Kamikaze Kid episode of Quantum Leap. Brandon made his big screen debut in the 1991 horror film The People Under the Stairs, which was written and directed by the famous Wes Craven, the director behind the cinematic classic franchise Scream. The People Under the Stairs was a film based on a 1970s true story, but with a terrifying twist. The plot revolved around a group of robbers breaking into a house in an attempt to steal, only to discover that there was more than just money and gold to find inside. With such an established director at the head of his first film, it was clear that Brandon was set up for a successful career as an actor. A year later, in 1992, he would return to cinemas as Jesse Hall in the sports comedy film The Mighty Ducks. Directed by Stephen Herrick, The Mighty Ducks was a film produced by Walt Disney Pictures, which made $50.8 million at the box office. The film was so massively successful that a year after its release, Disney founded an NHL team with the same name, calling it the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. It also received so much acclaim that this originally standalone film became part of a franchise, with the second film, D2, The Mighty Ducks, released 2 years later in 1994. In the second movie, Brandon reprised his role as Jesse Hall, and sports films tended to be Brandon's calling. In 1993, he took on the role of Kenny DeNunez in coming-of-age sports movie, The Sandlot, which was co-written, directed, and narrated by David Mickey Evans. But rather than being on the ice, the team in The Sandlot were on the baseball field. Meanwhile, Brandon was still making regular appearances on TV screens. He starred in 5 episodes of A Different World as Dion and Tino, making multiple returns between 1989 and 1991. And in both 1991 and 1994, Brandon joined Will Smith and Alfonso Ribeiro on screen in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, playing the minor characters of Brian and Ramon. Outside of these 2 shows, Brandon primarily played temporary guest roles, rarely staying on a show past 1 episode, but that didn't mean that his portfolio wasn't packed with some well-known titles. Among his acting credits are works like South Beach, Boy Meets World, Crime and Punishment, and Drexel's Class. In the late 90s, Brandon would finally get another recurring role in the popular UPN sitcom, Moesha. There he would play Aaron, Moesha's college boyfriend. His time on the show lasted 4 episodes, with his final appearance being episode 21 of the 4th season. As the 90s came to an end, so did Brandon's career. Well, sort of. Although he set the expectations high for his acting career after that grand Hollywood debut, it seemed like his initial hype eventually died down, and he wasn't able to maintain that momentum to keep his career thriving after graduating past child star. In 2001, he starred as Terry in the Billy Worth drama film MacArthur Park, but the production failed to make any waves in the cinematic world, which posed a bad sign for Brandon's future in the new century. Aside from voicing Raijin in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Plus in 2005 and 2007, Brandon practically fell off the face of the earth acting-wise. And when you look deeper into his 2000s history, you'll know why. In 2002, both Brandon and his friend, Merlin Santana, would find themselves in the midst of an active shooting. The reason? A hookup gone incredibly wrong. During a night out at a Chinese restaurant with Merlin, the 2 met a girl named Monique Mercedes King. Merlin and Monique instantly hit it off and ended up sleeping together that very same night. But while Merlin was only looking for a one-night stand, Monique had very different intentions. She wanted a long-term relationship. After refusing to be with her beyond their one night together, Monique went to 2 of her male friends named Damian Gates and Brandon Bynes and accused Merlin of the unspeakable. As a form of retaliation, both of the men ambushed Merlin and Brandon outside of a house party in the form of a shootout. Merlin, being the primary target for the attack, unfortunately did not survive. He passed away at 26. Brandon sustained injuries but ultimately was fine. But that was just physically. Mentally, that was a completely different story. When asked about the event, Brandon would tell the public that it took a severe toll on him since Merlin was his best friend, and he essentially watched him get murdered before his very eyes. This is likely the reason that Brandon did not continue his acting career, as he needed the necessary time to heal and recuperate. But it seems like 2 decades later after the incident, Brandon Quintin Adams may be making his coveted comeback. In 2021, he took on the role of the narrator in the 2021 series, The Resort. No matter if he can make a full return to his former glory or not, Brandon deserves every right to maintain his acting credits and praise, because whether or not he continues his acting career doesn't take away from the impact and influence of his past. And that's a wrap of Brandon Quintin Adams. If you're interested in learning more about the backstories of Hollywood's biggest and brightest stars, be sure to click that subscribe button and tell us in the comments below, who do you love? And we might just cover them in a video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.
Who do you love? Who do you love? them and show them. Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Support them. Tell them who do you love?